Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to the segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Our recitation for the day is as follows. Rag Gaudi Purbi Mahalla Panjama Kavan Gun Pranpat Milau Meri Mai Rahau Roopheen Buddh Balhini Mohe Paradesan Dur Te Ai Nahin Darb N Joban Mati Mohe Anath Ki Karo Samai Khojat Bhai Vairagan Prabh Darsan Ko How Firat Tisai Deen Dayal Kripal Prabh Nanak Sad Sang Meri Jalan Bujhai Deen Dayal Kripal Prabh Nanak Sad Sang Meri Jalan Bujhai Kavan Gun Pranpat Milau Meri Mai is the Rahau verse at the very top, and it asks a question, a very fundamental one. Kavan Gun, what is that quality? Pranpat Milau, by possessing which I can realize the inner self. Meri Mai, and my ignorance is dispelled. So what is that quality by possessing which my ignorance is dispelled and the inner self realized? I have chosen to translate Meri Mai as my ignorance in the context of this verse. Most English translations have rendered this term as my mother. So this would read as, my mother, what quality should I possess so that the self is realized? But it seems to me that Mai also stands for Maya, which is spiritual ignorance. It also stands for attachment. So in my opinion, it makes sense in the context of this verse. It's more appropriate to render it as ignorance, because it seems that Guru Arjan's question is aimed at asking how to get rid of spiritual ignorance. That is really the essential thrust of all Sikhi. How do I transform my ego consciousness, which is ignorant, avidya, to Har consciousness, which is the light of wisdom? In other words, how to become a Gurmukh from the default position of Manmukh. How to become Guru aware and be always guided by that wisdom. That, it seems, is the question, and hence Meri Mai as my ignorance. How do I replace my ignorance? Because I'm not equipped to do it. The Guru says, Roopheen, I'm without form, figure, beauty. Roopheen, without. Buddh Balhini, my intellect is shallow, weak. It cannot grasp the self. Mohe Paradesan Dur Te Ai. And to top it all, I have come from afar. I'm a stranger in this place. Now, coming from afar and living in a foreign place suggests that our earthly sojourn here is much like that of a traveling trader. And Gurbani refers to the self as a trader many a times. So we are like traveling traders making an overnight stop to execute a trade. And the trade consists in exchanging the ignorance, avidya, of Haume consciousness for Nam, which is knowledge, awareness, consciousness of the all-pervading one. That is the exchange that has to be made. But we need a broker, if you will, a guide, that Gurbani calls the Guru, the Sant, the Sad, because we are inadequate in our knowledge and our capacities. They have to be developed. And in order for those to be developed, we need a guide. And that is the Guru. And then, furthermore, the Guru says, Nahi darab na joban marthi. I don't possess wealth, nor do I possess intoxicating youth. Moh anath ki karo samai. In other words, I am without support. I need support. I'm orphaned. I don't have a parent. And it's actually an appeal to the parent who is the Har. The Har has been referred to as Pita. So this is that separation that the Guru is speaking of. And he's saying, please take this orphan into your embrace. Moh anath ki karo samai. And then he mentions the state of his mind. Khojat bhai bairagan. My ceaseless search, khojat, for self-knowledge, Prabh Darsan ko, has made me averse to the things of the world. Bhai bairagan. I'm filled with thirst for the self. How? Firat tisai. Tisai is thirst. So, hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm desirous for self-knowledge. And then he tells us how self-knowledge dawned upon him. Deen Dayal Kripal Prabh Nanak Sad Sang Meri Jalan Bujai, proclaims Nanak, under the tutelage of the perfect one, the Sad, the compassionate self, Deen Dayal Kripal, bestowed its wisdom on me and quenched the fire of my mind. That's how things came about. So Sad Sang is the key. And Sad Sang is a community of like-minded individuals who have apprenticed themselves to the Satgur or Sad, the Master, and are all working towards a common goal, namely freedom from Haume and the attainment of that transforming experience that we call. It's called Gurmukh, becoming a Gurmukh. And they're doing this through the technology of listening, Sunay or Simran, and adoration, Kirtan. So the answer to the question raised in verse 1 is that Sad Sang is what is needed, by virtue of which the qualities of the self will take hold in one's mind. So what we see here is that the Satgur, Simran and Sangat are the core elements that connect us to other travelers, and their cumulative and communal experience is what is called a Panth, the way. So the Sikh Panth then, the essential elements are Satgur, Simran, Sangat. So it is not a congregation that is tied by mere belief, as in a religion, but it is tied together by a shared inner experience of the self. So the Panth is a sacred space that has to be created and lived in as a community. On that note, until the next time, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.